All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much. Look at all the wonderful people in the chat room. Thank you for being here, everyone. Hi, Cameron Acecraft. Hi, Edwards. Hi, PS Witch. Hello, K Soul Goblin. Hello. Hello, Emil. Hello, Music of Cloaks. Smirky is here. ZZ Ignis. Hello, Hungry Gorilla. Hello, everyone. It is so nice to have you. Big Funny Giant, welcome, welcome, welcome. We have a very special show for you today. It is amazing. I'm really happy that we get to share this information. Bobby's here, of course, too. I see DB. Hello. Welcome to Streamer Strategies. We are back. We're back with a great topic, Twitch etiquette. You know, hello. Sai Gamer, hello. Ballaby, hello. Hi, it's so nice to see you. Sky Coastaman, hello. There's Bobby back there. She's playing support right now. She's actually the one moderating, you know. So we have a really great topic here for you all today. It's going to be about Twitch etiquette, and I know that the people here on the panel with me speaking and sharing their expertise, they have a lot to offer and a lot of understanding from their success, their path, all the things that they've learned from through their career, and they'll be able to share everything with you all today about Twitch etiquette. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat. I will write them down. Let me get my handy dandy notebook to write them down so that way we can have some questions taken from chat at the end. I also want to acknowledge that Old Man Sethis is supposed to be a guest with us tonight, but is feeling under the weather. And I would love to have Old Man Sethis on for another show. I feel really bad that they're not feeling well. I really hope that they feel better soon. I'm wishing them a speedy recovery. And absolutely open invite anytime you want to be here and you're feeling better. So please make sure to let me know. But let me bring on my guests. I'm gonna stop talking. Let me bring on my guests so that you can meet who's here today. Yeah, thank you so much for being here, everybody. Thank you. Wait, hold on. I see that. Hold on. I have to make an adjustment here real quick before we go live here. Whenever we're doing a show, there's always elements that are unpredictable. And one of the unpredictable elements right now are the alerts going off. I don't know if everybody, can y'all hear the alerts? Because I thought I turned them off. I thought I turned them off. Well, let me bring my guests on so y'all could at least have some people to look at and talk to. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for being on the show. I would love it if you could go around and introduce yourself. I'm going to start with T-Monster, then go to Mayhem Mermaid, and then Thormangander. So if y'all could introduce yourselves, let everyone know what you do on Twitch, and if you have anything to share about why Twitch etiquette is important to you, why you wanted to be on this show, let them know. So T-Monster, go first. Wait, we can't hear. There's no sound? Is there no sound? Hold on. Let me see what's going on here. There is something going on. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me see here. They're saying there's no sound coming from Thor and Mayhem Mermaid. Can you all talk? And let me hear if there's any sound. Thor, go first. I can hear you, but not the guests. Okay. Oh my god. I think I know what the problem is. Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. Okay. Let's do this again. Let's try again. Okay. Hold on one second, y'all. Chat. Chat. I promise you, I have done this before. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, there we go. Turn mic off. I don't know what is going on. Did I mute Twitch? Did I mute? Everyone looks like they're having fun. Let me make sure I didn't like mute Twitch by accident. Because that sometimes happens. Oh my God.
When everyone in the call can hear each other, but no one else can.
But no one else.
I
guess we're
the
muted.
beauty of FOMO.
Can you hear them chat? They can hear you.
Oh my God.
It was
All right,
totally.
we have to
Wait,
stop saying
They
bad
heard
things
me
now.
talking smack. Sorry,
can I tell y'all? It was my fault.
Oh!
It was my fault. It was my fault.
Sign that girl up for the Twitch
I
school.
don't know how to straight. Okay, it was because I had
Creator
y'all
camp.
muted
Let's
on the
get-
Beacon Mix Create.
My name is
Ash, you should attend the creator camp.
I
I
My name is
swear.
Ash, and I'm going to teach you people how to do the stream together. All right, you all bitches, listen up.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Chat, it's my fault. I'm the problem. Okay.
I have a mix create too. I do that all the time. It happens.
It happens. Man. Ash,
We are
I tell you what,
professionals.
I tell you what, and Ash will understand this joke, and so will people in my chat. Ash, I can give you endless shade on this as soon as you give me endless shade about ending my freaking stream
Okay.
before I go to bed.
Okay.
I have lost count how many times I get this sweet little, hey, T, you're still alive. And I'm like, it's 4 in the morning. Oh, damn it. I gotta go down there. Okay.
It's true.
Should
Okay,
we start again?
Yes, start again.
Okay. How you doing, everybody? My name is T. You can call me T Monster, or Twitch Dad. I'm an affiliate. I've been streaming on Twitch since 2017. I started off as a Destiny streamer, and now I am a paranormal streamer. I stream paranormal investigations live. I also do footage review. I also do something called the Grim Gazette, which is a weekly paranormal magazine, which is a combination of weird news, paranormal deep dives, and paranormal debunks. I am also the author of Twitch for Dummies, and that is a legit book, and it is in its 2nd edition and is available in bookstores everywhere. And you can find me at the T Monster.
Yo, that is amazing. First of all, everyone, definitely check out that book. I have a copy of it. It's great and it's super helpful. And I know we're gonna have a lot of insight to learn from you. So thank you so much. I can't remember if I said Mayhem Mermaid or Thor first, so I'm gonna say Mayhem Mermaid. You go up next.
Hi, everybody. I'm the Mayhem Mermaid. You can call me Mermaid or Natalie. I'm okay with my government name as well. I'm a variety and co-working streamer here on Twitch. So in terms of variety, I play a lot of puzzle games that are very story driven, that can keep conversation going in chat and really get us to challenge our brains, especially on some days where I might be having a bad brain and my chat can help me with the puzzles. And then co-working, we like to do body doubling streams where I have a bot that helps me put tasks on a list and we can hold each other accountable, and chat can also add tasks that they want to do to the list. And it's a great time. You put some music on in the background, just vibe out.
Right.
As far as streamer etiquette, this is really important to me because I am the mentorship director for the Latin Guild, and I was inspired to found the mentorship program in the Latin Guild because I am a mentor in the Women's Guild, and my specialty is Twitch tools and moderation. So an online space that is safe and healthy with proper boundaries, but also keeping things safe on the tech side is super important to me. So I can't wait to share more about what I've done with the guilds.
Oh my God, I love that. I did not know that you were a mentor in those guilds. I can't wait to hear what you've got to say. That's really awesome and something to be super proud of, because I'm sure you impact many people, and the quality of their stream and being able to help people learn how to do better. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thor?
Hi there, everybody. My name is Thorman Ganner. I'm a full-time Twitch streamer partner on the platform who emphasizes playing video games on alternative controllers such as steering wheels, Donkey Kong bongos, DDR pads, and even with my feet. But I'm also a mental health advocate. I work a lot with people about neurodiversity, and I also am I forgot the last thing, but that's okay because we move on to the next. And I've been doing this for 5.5 years. We're all about mental health awareness, LGBTQI plus equality, and neurodiversity. And we really like to make this space a cozy one for people to come in, ask questions, and more. I'm also a part of the Twitch Black Guild as well, and I'm also a mentor who focuses on event and project planning as well. So you'll find me in there trying to make Twitch a better place for marginalized communities on the platform.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Thank you for all that work, Thor. I know you are crushing it. You're killing it. You're doing so many amazing things. Thank you, everyone. And, not just through what you all do and, like being you, being a streamer in this space, and all the things that you have contributed, just by all the stuff that you told us just now. I mean, being somebody, because like we can't do this by ourselves, right? Like, we all in the streaming space learn something from each other, right? So I feel like that's why it's like super important to do things like this, because there's no official way other than having a book, by the way, of to learn like new skills when it comes to streaming. So I really appreciate your time and being here. Thank you so much. So let's get into the first question, which is define, what does Twitch etiquette even mean to you? Like, if you had to explain this to somebody who's never understood what Twitch etiquette is, like, what does that mean to you? So I'm gonna go with Thor first, and then T, and then Mayhem Mermaid.
For me, Twitch etiquette basically goes into what are the polite, loosely guided rules by Twitch when you enter into a space? What is acceptable behavior, and how do people orchestrate themselves while in those spaces? This can be anything from coming in and saying hi to also asking the dreaded "Can I ask you a question?" I think that Twitch has a lot of unspoken rules that have circulated around the platform, and a lot of these are generally guided by how do people conduct themselves on the platform as a whole, and what is the general guidance that people should follow when entering into a channel for the first time.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
for me, the way the way I would describe Twitch etiquette, actually, Thor, you just verbalized exactly why I wrote Twitch for Dummies. It was all these unspoken rules, and I forgot how many times I tripped over myself because I didn't know these rules. And I started making notes, and I started putting together the book. And one of the things I tried to explain to people when it comes to Twitch etiquette is, it's like I'm inviting people into my studio just to hang out and either game a little bit or try to catch a ghost or catch an EVP. And if I'm inviting you into my house, there's some rules that should be just second nature. Don't put your feet up on the don't put your feet up on the furniture. Please don't kick the cats, and just generally be nice. And that to me is what Twitch etiquette is. It's the rules of your house if your house is in fact a live stream.
Love that. Okay, Mayhem Mermaid.
I love that. And I kind of want to add to that a little bit. So in a home, you have different rooms that serve different purposes. And I kind of want to use that analogy to share how something that might be okay in T's stream might not be okay in mine. It's not a one size fits all space. It's just a matter of picking up on those social cues, reading the rules, because usually it's straightforward in the chat rules before you even start speaking what boundaries should be met and what you should do in terms of handling those social situations, especially meeting someone for the first time, and just knowing what the expectations are when you join that community. And then just like something that I might be okay with, Thor might not be okay with. And we all get along here great, but that doesn't mean that our definition of community is the same when it comes to our niche specifically. So it's a matter of just getting to know the people that you're surrounding yourself with and seeing what might work in one spot but not in the other.
Right.
I mean, it's a bit like when you go to different streams and you see the rules section, right? And I think some people look at the rules section and go, okay, it's roughly the same as I would gander Ash, all four of us. We have like the same core four rules, but then there's the finer details.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, did you read the terms of service? Chances are you didn't. You just made the assumption, oh, this is like everybody else's terms of service. And I think by we have core values, but then every channel has its own unique, I guess you would say, second tier or even third tier values. Good example is I try very hard to be PG-13. Ash, I know, tries to stay about G. And and again, that's Ash's rules versus my rules. And I know some people who go R. And I started that way and I'm like, I don't think I want to do that anymore. So now I'm slowly scaling it back, and that is again part of etiquette. Is it's there are core values, but there are also core values that differ from channel to channel, and in some cases they're in flow.
And to add on to that, like you were mentioning, just like how people might conduct themselves in G versus R manner, even something as simple as the way you enter a stream and the way you say hello to somebody might be vastly different. For instance, using Old Man Seth as an example, he very much has a very amazing and rowdy space that is going to be a bit more charged than my space might be. And so I generally don't curse or do things like that on my stream, but he might have that for some of his viewers where they might introduce themselves in that way because that's the way that the space has grown and that's the kind of vibe he's trying to cultivate. But like you said, those core values really come into play in so many different ways, and there's not really one catch-all rule here. And that's one of the important things, is why it's so important to define the overall idea of Twitch etiquette, is because there's not one common sense state. I always put it as, you'll never find common sense because it doesn't exist. There's no one thing that everyone has
It's
ever
not common.
experienced. Exactly.
That's the irony of common sense. It's not very common.
Yeah.
Common sense, military intelligence. These are words that don't necessarily go well together. So I live outside of DC. I used to be a government contractor, so I'm allowed to make that joke.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And it's so true. It's so true because, and I think the biggest thing to take away from everything they all saying is like reading the room, right? Which segues beautifully into our next question, which is what etiquette or behaviors should people prioritize on Twitch? And like, how does reading the room, like come into a play there, So I'm gonna go with T, then Thor, then Mermaid Mayhem, for that question. So T, take it away.
Okay, strap in, everybody, because this one I've gotten a lot of pushback for, because people go, well, how do you read a room? And I'm like, real easy. When you get into somebody's chat, especially if it's your first time in that person's chat, don't do anything right off the cuff. Just sit for maybe 5 minutes tops, and you'll get a tone of what the person is doing and how they're carrying themselves in that day. And then and then look at the chat itself and see what the vibe is in chat. Then introduce yourself. And if in case the person doesn't have that first time chat user feature active, you can say, I'm the first time here. How is everybody today? Or if there's a very intense conversation happening, maybe not ask, how is everyone today? Maybe chime in with, I hope everyone is doing well. This sounds like a very intense talk. Acknowledge what's happening. And and it's a very hard line to walk. I mean, here's an example. Just last week, I was talking about the recent drama that erupted over Dr. Disrespect, and I was talking about it from a personal point of view, not just as a streamer, but also having a background in theater and being an actor, and at one time being a professional actor. I was bringing in that perspective of it, and out of the blue, somebody in my chat just went, "I'm bored with this topic of conversation. What's your thoughts on furries?" And I completely went off because this is not the first time this has happened in my stream. Somebody will come in and they'll do a dad joke. It's like they're auditioning for open mic night. And I'm like, dude, read the room. That's when I get the whisper saying, "Well, I'm going to leave this chat because you're boring anyway." And I'm like, okay, fine, go on. I got to get back into my train of thought. If your streamer is in a train of thought, and you as the streamer have to decide, okay, how hard am I going to come down on this individual? Because you have to let people know, I'm on a train of thought. Yes, you're supposed to pivot as you do, but there are some conversations you just want to get out. It could just be something that's happening in the world today. It could be something like the whole hullabaloo with Dr. Disrespect, but whatever the case, this is what it means by reading the room. What is the tone of the chat room when you come into it, and what is the tone of the individual, of the host or hosts themselves? If two hosts are having a very intense conversation about the recent layoffs at Bungie, when I say recent, but one's back in February, you know, you don't want to come in and go, yeah, two guys walk into a bar, the third one ducked. You really have to. That had some hang time. Did it, Mayhem? Had a little bit of hang time for you.
I love dad jokes. I'm
I
sorry.
know. I mean, I am Twitch dad. But I'll tell you, my favorite one is I recently investigated a distillery, and I can honestly say OSI did find plenty of spirits there. Thank you. I'll be here all night. Try the veal. But the thing is that if that is the vibe in the room, then you can come in and start firing off your favorite one-liners. But if you're having a very intense conversation, just take a moment. If you're new, especially if you're new to the chat, or even if you're not new to the chat, if you're a regular and this chat isn't for you, it's okay to leave. And you don't have to announce your presence. I'm leaving. Bye. You just leave. No one will take offense. And I think that is the it's not really an art. It's not a talent. It's a skill. And not only do we have to work on it as content creators, but I think our communities also need to work on it just to make sure, whether you're old or new to a community, you just have to be able to understand the vibe of where you're at and what the tone of the conversation is.
Wow. Beautifully
And I got
said.
pushback for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It kind of, just one thing to add on to that, it kind of makes me think like we play a huge role in training our chat, on what behaviors are acceptable and what behaviors aren't. And that's why I think it's like really important to kind of be aware of what's going on. Because when you say reading the room, it's not just reading the room like for what I'm saying and how I behave, but also reading the room for, the chat room too, So, okay. Thor, what do you think?
I mean, I was just gonna add on to what T was saying there, but I want to actually say I think one of the big things that comes along with this is like sometimes people want to say something, anything in a chat to feel like they're involved, and there's those people who don't read the room. They come in and they put in a chat comment, and maybe there's a serious conversation, and they'll type out another comment, and then they're like, "Wow, you're ignoring me," or like they'll act really offended, and you have to stop and you have to choose in that moment. Do you want to come down hard on them, or do you want to say, hey, just letting you know what you have done is rude? And I think this is a really big part of streamer communication, where you need to level with them sometimes, where it's like, hey, you need to understand we're in the middle of a conversation right now. This is a different stream from what we normally do, and any other day we'll give you some time, but you have to realize that you are not the center of attention here. And then also making people realize that sometimes you don't want to read their comment out. Sometimes you may just find it inappropriate, or you might find that this person is trying to hog a lot of spotlight or monopolize the time that's in the stream. And I think one thing that people need to realize is patience, and also acceptance of the fact that you might not read every single comment that comes out. But on top of that, a really volatile behavior that I've seen on quite a few channels, and I don't think this gets talked about. One type of etiquette that I think, or one type of behavior that I think should actually be dropped a little bit more, is when people simply come into a channel to brag about something and then disappear and will then
Mm.
go and hop into other channels. There
Mm.
is a lot of this that happens, and it creates a bad situation for the streamer and also for the viewer, because it means that the streamer becomes wary of communicating with the viewer because they know that person is only there to say something which might not be appropriate at the time, especially going back to those behaviors of maybe we're talking about something serious. Maybe people in chat are having financial problems. Maybe people are dealing with things that you might not realize. And being able to drop in and just brag about something can really put a strain on the streamer wanting to communicate with you if that's why they think you're there and that's the only reason they think you're there. Um, but I also just I think the big thing as well is just how you introduce yourself. Like if you come into a channel and you say, "Can I ask you a question?" That's going to put everyone on guard. That's going to put the mods on guard. That's going to put the streamer on guard, and that is automatically going to make them suspicious. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people don't realize, but on Twitch there are actually a great ton of mod tools that allow us to tag people that says this person is suspicious, here's the reason. And then those notes can be shared with other streams through shared ban lists or
Mm-hmm.
shared lists in general. And this makes it easier for us to see who might be problematic in other communities. So I think honestly, the really big things are patience, acceptance, and also introducing yourself in a way that is just like a hi, how are you? What are you doing today? And if you don't get a response, it's not necessarily that you're being ignored. It just might be that there's other things that might be going on at that time, or maybe somebody is really focused in what they're doing. And I always tell people don't come in with something nebulous, like asking, "Can I ask you a question?" or with a weird pet name for somebody. There are behaviors specifically that you want to avoid, and that will also make you very people will not want to deal with it. People will say, "I'm going to ban that because that is automatically suspicious." So I tell people prioritize coming in, being patient, kindness, acceptance, and also just yeah, that's it. That's pretty much what I think people should prioritize mainly. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. Before I chime in, Mermaid, please go ahead and tell us what you think.
I I definitely think a great approach to something like this is thinking about first impressions. When you're meeting somebody for the first time, how do you approach them, particularly in person? Because that is a little bit more intimidating than hiding behind a screen and being bold and saying the first thing that comes to mind. Specific example, yesterday I was doing a co-working stream. I was muted. So obviously this person was like, "Oh, perfect. I can say whatever I want." And her mic is muted. So she's not going to respond to me right away. And this person just wrote in my chat, "You look so interesting." And I'm here like, what am I supposed to say to that, you know? And when I tell you, even people who are lurking came out of the woodwork and went in chat and said, "What does that mean?
Yeah.
Why would you say something like that?" And that is the perfect example of a first impression. You wouldn't say that to somebody to their face. So why would you do it in an online chat? People would respond the same way. Why are you approaching this person that you don't know, telling them they look interesting? That's creepy, right? So don't do it in Twitch chat if you wouldn't do it in person. And I feel like that's a great approach when it comes to perhaps people that don't have those social cues and are trying to learn how to interact with people overall and want to build friendships and connections with others. Just take a moment and think about, how would I say this to this person if they were right in front of me right now?
Right.
And on the other side of the coin, being the streamer, I think it's really important to say it's okay to confront people that make you uncomfortable and address that with the person, so that you're not only setting that boundary with them, but then chat knows what you're expecting going forward, and no one else will likely do the same thing because they know it's something you don't like. But it's also okay to just be like, I don't feel like dealing with this right now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and quietly ban this person because I don't have the spoons today. And I think it's really, really important to be okay with both sides of that, because sometimes you're feeling a little confrontational, you're feeling a little spicy, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna address this right now and get this off my chest. But there are other times that you might just want to continue playing your game or chatting with everyone else in the community and just enjoying the space, and this person's dampering the mood, just get them out.
Your
Can I
stream, your
Case in
rules.
point.
The other thing too is like you never ever have to reply to an unban request. I know a lot of streams that don't even have them on. If you feel uncomfortable, you feel uncomfortable, and nobody needs to justify themselves or you don't have to give anyone a second option. If somebody shows you their true face, take them at face value.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, wow. I feel like, oh man, chat. Okay, so I really it's just there's just so much information here that's like really great, and I feel like it's tough to find out what people really think, because you're right, like as some of you are saying, a lot, there are some of these topics that people don't get to talk about often because it's hard to talk about it. I feel like sometimes if you start talking about some of the things that you're bringing up, like, not being able to deal with things and like just wanting to ban right away, or, like knowing the difference between what's right and what's, not right in someone's space, is like, it could kind of egg on people to ask questions that might be, how do you say, like, like they're trying to push the boundary, like they're trying to see how far they can go with something, right? So I think that's why it's really great hearing, like, yeah, don't come in here and, call me a pet name. Don't come in here
Right.
and like,
Tell me I look interesting.
yeah.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, there's a great it's a reoccurring joke in a in this series that I am absolutely addicted to called Shorzy. And I'm not going to actually say it because he drops the F-bomb in the middle of it. But Shorzy always says, "Set the effing tone."
Yeah.
And that's what your job is as the host. Your job is to set the effing tone. Hey, Hicks. And and so your job is to make sure that everybody knows what is above board and what is not. And that, for some people, that is hard, and I understand. And this is nothing against people who struggle with neurodivergency, who struggle with social anxiety or any of that. Like my daughter is working through social anxiety, and thanks COVID-19. But the thing is that she also knows, and she has a really good understanding by being a gamer. Okay, if I can say this to this group of people, but if I'm doing a raid with my dad, maybe I shouldn't be dropping the F-bomb so hard, because that's when Captain America comes out and goes, "Daughter, language." And it's different with every person, but you are setting the tone, and that's the takeaway from this. Set the effing tone. You're allowed to. It's your stream.
Love
And
that.
also, as a viewer, if you are ever unsure of something, usually on a lot of channels, you have people who are moderators, and you can say in chat, usually, you can say, "Hey, I'm unsure of something. Can I DM a mod or ask a question?"
That's
Rel-
great.
And
Yeah.
Absolutely.
this allows people to realize, like, hey, you may not know where those boundaries are, but you are asking. And a lot of times people be more accepting of that because they notice the fact that you are making the effort to find out where the boundaries are on the side of the streamer. So if you're ever unsure, ask something rather than getting yourself accidentally banned. And also, the other thing is, if you're ever going to tell like a joke or something and you're not sure if it crossed the line, don't tell it. Just don't tell it.
Yeah.
If you have to ask, do you think this joke will cross the line? Chances are it will.
It will.
It will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to sound racist, but please don't.
Yeah, no.
Please don't.
No.
No.
Yeah.
And also, there's one other thing I wanted to go into with the boundary pushing as well, because it was an issue, and I won't dive too deep into this, but there are certain groups that will figure out how to push boundaries to see what's okay
Yeah.
in an effort to push more dangerous ideologies. So it's really important that you, as a streamer, set that boundary and keep to it, because if you find people who are pushing that, they're not just going to stop with like, Twitch stream stuff. It goes much further than that. Without going too deep into that, make sure you set a boundary, make sure you stick to it. And over time, that boundary can change, and that's okay. But you should always be the one to set it.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of not knowing boundaries, cats definitely don't live by boundaries.
No, they
They
do
sure
not.
don't.
No, they do not.
Oh
No,
my
they do not.
gosh. Well,
If our cats were people.
oh my gosh. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. You definitely are giving people lots of things to think about. And so I'm gonna move on to the next question, which is, what are some common mistakes viewers and streamers make? So I'm gonna start with Mayhem Mermaid, then go to Thor, then go to T. And this is with the intent. We're going to assume positive intent here, where we're going to say like some common mistakes, but then how to help them learn from those mistakes.
So in terms of viewers, I feel like something that I no longer really deal with this, because I feel like I was assertive about it, and that was what I should have done from the start. But I feel like a lot of viewers who join communities of mental health advocates, I don't know if Thor can speak to this as well, but I'm also a mental health advocate, and I'm constantly talking about mental health in my chat. They'll feel inclined to share things in chat and trauma dump, because they find the space to be a space of comfort to them. I can go to the streamer telling them that I had a bad day because XYZ, and they will actually read it and respond to me because they're on camera and they know I'm watching, so they have to be nice to me. So I'm just going to go and do that, and then I'll feel better. We're not professionals, we're not therapists. We are here to provide a service, to entertain you, to keep you company. That's it. Like, we are human beings behind the screen as well. We have things that we don't share while we're streaming that we're going through. And we're trying to use this space to clear our heads a little bit and just step away from reality for a while. And maybe that might transfer a little bit if we're having a rougher day. And I feel like sometimes we'll say that. We'll say, I'm not having the greatest day, but I really just want to get my mind off of it. So I thought I would stream. 9 times out of 10, that helps us. But if you're not there for that moment, and then you come in and approach having conversation with the streamer like that, it's going to make them feel worse. And they might even just end up ending their stream because they're just not up to it anymore. And while it's okay to share things that are upsetting you and ask for advice to an extent, I mean, obviously you're going to do what you're going to do anyway, and we'll just try and address it as best we can. But I think it's important to know that there is a time and a place for certain conversations. And then when it comes to streamers, this is the first thing I thought of when I saw this question. Hey, how's it going? Small talk, whatever. All right, well, I'm going to go head out now because I'm going to go stream. See you later.
Okay, can I be honest with you here?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be vulnerable here. When I
Absolutely,
first
go for
started
it.
streaming, I made that mistake. I did. I'm guilty. I did it. But
And-
you don't know
and
until you learn.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
for you, it's like you're excited to go do that. It's like, oh, I can't wait to go stream. And I want to tell this person because I'm excited about it. You're not even thinking about like self-promotion or maybe they'll raid me, anything like that. You're just really excited to go stream. So you're telling them, all right, I'm going to go stream. Bye. See you later. But to the streamer, it's like, are you just trying to get my audience to leave and go watch you instead? Is that why you're saying it? And that might not even be on their mind, but it's a bad look.
100%.
I think it's a perfect example of something that a streamer can do that may seem harmless, but can cause harm depending on the connection that you have with the streamer or how they feel about that in general. Some streamers don't mind, especially if you're very close. But I feel like most of the time they'd rather you not do that,
Mhm.
or even just talk about your streams in general unless they ask you first.
Mhm.
A variation on that theme that I came into contact with was I had some streamers that would come into my stream and they would drop this beautiful greeting, this platitude of, "Oh my God, what an awesome day! It's even more awesome because you're here now, and I'm in your stream, and it's it's really nice." And I'll go, "Oh, hey, so and so, how are you doing?" And because I knew they were a streamer, I would automatically say, "Could someone please give a shout out to this person?" And and I didn't think anything of it until I noticed that I'd try to engage them in conversation, I'd get crickets. And then
Mm-hmm.
suddenly and this is why it's a good idea to have Twitch running on another monitor somewhere, because then I got a notification that that person went live after they got the shout out.
There you
And I'm
go.
thinking to myself, hold on a minute. And I even tested the waters. I had the same exact person come in, same kind of platitude, and I go, "Oh, what are you streaming today?" Crickets. 5 minutes later, she's live. And then I blocked her.
Oof.
Fast forward about a month, and this same streamer was kvetching online about how there are all these fakers in Twitch, because I would go in and I would tell them these really lovely things, and they all blocked me. Now she's already partnered, so she feels like she's immune to this, and I'm sitting there reading her tweet, going, mm-hmm. And it sometimes it can be a little diabolical, and I don't mind when people promote their streams in my chat. I only mind it if they're new, if they're new to the stream. Get to know me, get to know my community, then I'll support you. And I think sometimes some people get very subversive about trying to bill for other people's audiences, which is it's a thing, and I hate it. But yeah, that's a variation on that, and it
Yeah.
sucks. It sucks.
And to
It
add on
does.
to that as well, like anybody who's ever like maybe accidentally done this, or to realize that by going into somebody's stream and doing this kind of behavior where you promote yourself, or maybe you try and do the platitudes thing, it's really important to know that that actually damages you a lot in the long
Mhm.
term, because people are not going to transfer over. People don't know you, they don't have a reason to know
Right.
you. They are just going to see you once pop in and then be like, okay, that person is fishing. And this ultimately will hurt you, and make people avoid you more often than
Mm-hmm.
not. One of the best ways I've actually ever seen streamer to streamer interaction is actually on a mutual for several of us, is 8-bit D stream, where
No,
she will
Love her.
ask people, she'll just be like, hey, who's a streamer in here? Go type one in chat. And
yeah,
then this way, she can say as a group to everybody, she can just be like, oh, hey, look, you're all streamers. Like, take a look at one another. This way, it doesn't focus down one person,
yeah,
but it also encourages people to kind of look at who's around them and realize that you're in a sea of other streamers. And that's a really smart strategy for basically, one, getting rid of those people who will come in and try and get themselves specifically noticed by flooding it with everyone. And also just by saying, hey, there are people around you. And here's the people who are, here day after day. You want to take a look, great. And even if you don't come in day after day and you do this, people are going to notice that you only do it when you do the shout outs,
Mm-hmm.
or try and do it for the global community. So I just wanted to point out, like, I've seen some very, I don't know if that's why she does it in particular, but I find it a very smart strategy. And but audiences don't just translate because you come in and say, oh, I'm streaming. Nobody wants to leave a stream that they're comfortable in a space that has been
right.
curated around their likes. And you going in is just going to hurt you like that.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
if a streamer though approaches me, like I know I've been in Ash's stream before, and I haven't rated. I'm just showing up, and I go, "Hey, Ash," and she goes, "What are you up to?" And I'm just
Mhm.
like, "Okay, I'm going to go very carefully into that." But Ash and I, we know this. We know this about each other. She's like, oh yeah, no. Tisa Ghost. She is my best like hype pimp, because she will constantly talk up whatever I'm up to, and
I
and
love
I
it.
I do not take that for granted. And I think streamers that do that, they get it. They're like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
know this guy's a streamer. I support them. I support their community. I'm going to open the door for them. But if the door isn't open for you already, you got to tread gently and tread carefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the etiquette.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think when you're coming into a space like this, and this is one of the reasons why this is being done today, is you don't really know, especially when you're new to streaming, all these things that you've been told throughout your life of, hey, put yourself out there, let people know what you're doing, and all this is almost in a way antithetical to how Twitch etiquette can be.
Yes, it's
But
so
thank goodness there's a
specific.
book I can recommend. I can recommend you a book, Thor.
Do you
Twitch
all
for
think
dummies, no one's
there's the book.
Available in bookstores everywhere.
There's the book. Do you think that there's like a lot of unwritten rules to being a streamer and being a chatter?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I think like just what we've been talking about, like being a chatter is coming into a space and occupying it and having a back and forth banter. But with streamers, I feel like there is very much, for a lot of the community, there's this very almost, people see other people people unfortunately see other streamers as competition, and they will try and fight over this fake competition, and they will see even the most minor of actions seen as slights against them, like, oh, why are you streaming at the same time as me? Oh, why are
So
this
weird.
person's in my or in your chat but not mine? What happened there? And the thing is, a lot of times there will be a lot of back talk around that, and
Yeah.
it's very interesting to see how that develops in the long term. And so I think that there's been a lot of rules that have been made that are toxic, and there's a lot of rules
Very.
that have been made that are great. And so I think it's really important to define what that toxic part is and what that what the more regular experiences. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not just on Twitch. I would say that about content creation on a whole.
Yeah.
When I heard Dan Clancy talk about how if you want your channel to grow, collaboration, and I'm sitting here going, Dan, it's not as easy as you think, because especially in the circles that I'm traveling in on the paranormal, I have extended so many invitations to ghost hunters to come on and let's collaborate. Hey, how about this? I would love to be these two teams always share their shows at the same time. I would love my team to be the cleanup. We're the third person. We'll start at 10:30. What do you think? Silence. I sent this one ghost team at least 4 different invitations to a property that had never been investigated before, and I wanted them to collaborate. I wanted to, go on ahead, come on in. It's never, and when you say a property has never been investigated, that gets salivary glands going like an F1 motor, okay? And these guys were like, nope, we're booked. After 4 follow-ups. And then I'm at a point where I'm like, look, I believe that collaboration is great, but I don't think one collaboration is suddenly going to turn me into Doug, okay? I want to collaborate with you because I respect you. I respect the stream. I respect the content that you make. Part of the reason why I'm collaborating tonight is because I am crazy about Ash and her community and what she does. And so if Ash says to me, hey, would you, I can guarantee you the answer is going to be yes, unless I'm ghost hunting.
Yeah.
But to flip that, I'm also not going to badger somebody if they don't want to collaborate with me. There's nothing wrong with saying no. Again, going back to something Nash said, we had a heart-to-heart about why she would never go on a ghost hunt with me. And when she said that, I said, cool.
Yeah.
And I will never ask Ash again. As a joke, I will, because I like making Ash squirm, but that's a different story altogether.
But you have that camaraderie. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what makes
That's the
work.
difference. That's the difference.
And that happens when you, and it's really hard. Like reading a room, it's really hard to read people and not figure out, okay, is this person wanting to collaborate with me because they met me, they're like, okay, I think this person would be a fun person to collaborate with. And who's the ladder climber? And I get why people have to be guarded when it comes to working with other streamers. But I'm like, well, you can be guarded all you like, but now you're in a vacuum. So it's
Yeah.
okay to take a chance.
Mhm.
But there's also nothing wrong with saying no to somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that could definitely be a whole master class in itself of like how to
Yeah, good.
people think that this is like a dirty term, but like the term networking, I mean, I personally feel like as professional broadcasters, there's nothing dirty about that term. It is
Mhm.
a tool like that we have
It
to
is.
utilize just like with anything else. But I think the understanding of how to be genuine or, people to understand your intent, which is why like if I'm doing a show like this, people know I'm asking you like weeks in advance. I am creating the assets. I'm writing the run of show. Like you're not doing any heavy lifting. I'm gonna do all the heavy lifting. Your
Right.
job is to come in here and look pretty and tell everybody all of your things that you learned or whatever. Give the gifts of all the knowledge that you have. But the bottom line is that for me, that helps to build trust. And I think that's the thing that we need to break the barrier down on when we're talking about what you're talking about is the trust issue part. Because
Yeah.
like no one's going to know until they know you, right?
Right.
So,
And
And
how
and
that ties back in with etiquette is if you think about it at its core, etiquette is a form of trust.
yeah.
I'm trusting that the people coming into my stream are going to be they're not going to be jerks. They're going to all get along. They're all going to get the jokes, and they know they can we're setting the tone. But the streamers, the people that are coming into my chat, they're trusting me that I'm not going to belittle them. And I know there are some Twitch streamers that build an entire career about being toxic and about being abusive to their fan. And if that is if that's your kink, I'm not going to kink shame you. You do you, boo. You do you. That's not the way I operate. And I would say the average person that comes into a chat is going, this person's not going to make me feel like a dork. We can nerd out over Star Wars. We can nerd out over Star Trek. We can nerd out over, over Stargates. And we're just going to stay with that theme. It's all about trust, and I think especially when it comes to what Thor was saying about how everyone is seen as competition. I'm like, then collaboration that becomes a 4-letter word. And I and I'd be the first one to say I'd rather collaborate with somebody that wants to be there because they like what I do versus I think if I collaborate with this person, it's going to help me in the future.
and also just to add on one last thing too, like I think the other thing that people, just to go back on the word networking, is that people don't realize that networking can turn into friendship. You can create
Oh God, yeah. Oh,
meaningful connections that lead to opportunities in the future. So many people are like, oh, networking is a bad term, and if you're only doing networking, then you're using people. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. Networking is a very complex part of what we do, and it has many facets. But to see it as simply a negative thing because you see it as people manipulating somebody for gain misses what the entire point of networking and communication, which
Mhm.
is a key point of networking, is about. And I think that is a behavior in general. Just to put it back to Twitch etiquette behavior, I think that's a behavior that people should expect more. Is more people networking, trying to figure out things on the platform, asking questions, coming into communities, and then realizing that they really like it there and can communicate in an entirely different way. And it's something that people shy away from. And I tell people it is okay to say you are networking. It is also okay to say that you have gained an arm's length friendship with somebody while doing so, and
And
potentially more depending on who you are.
I can say I met Steve Saylor through a networking opportunity. 15 years later, I can tell you where we buried the bodies. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Love that. I love that. T, I know you have to go soon, right? Is that
Yes.
okay?
And here's the thing. Proper etiquette. I don't necessarily going to tell you why I'm leaving, but I do have to go
It's
somewhere.
to hide more
I'm gonna
bodies,
tell
right?
y'all why T's leaving. T's doing a premiere for a show, right? It's gonna be
Well, I
like
don't know
a
you that well yet, but give me time. Give me time.
Tell
it's
me
like
your
a ghost
secret.
hunting show that you're gonna do a premiere on, right? Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Awesome.
about to talk about some previous bodies on
Okay.
on YouTube.
Okay.
So thank you, everybody. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Ash,
Thank
as you
you.
know, anytime I'll say yes. I will talk to you later. Okay.
Awesome.
Good to
Awesome.
Pleasure to
Thank you
meet
for your
It's
everybody.
lovely to
insight.
meet you, T.
Bye.
You are
Yeah.
hilarious.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. Please make sure to go and follow the Tea Monster. Tea is really awesome. I'm just gonna drop the link in the chat real quick. But yes, so man, I think one common thing that I always see from maybe newer people on Twitch is just just the oblivious, like, I didn't know, because like talking about my stream, like I didn't know that that was like a taboo kind of thing, like you were saying. That's definitely the one that I see the most. But if I had to choose something different, it would definitely be commenting on my appearance as like a person. Like, oh, you look like this or you look like that. Like, I don't mind, like, if people are like given like a compliment, like, and they say the compliment and they move on. But there are times when I feel like it becomes if it becomes a focus instead of me as an entertainer, or my skills, or my ability to be a good broadcaster, then that's when it starts to become uncomfortable, you know.
Hmm.
So that's one thing that I see
Agreed.
all the time.
And I
Yeah.
feel like particularly women deal with that more on this platform. Obviously, there are other people that are affected, but predominantly, these are the kinds of conversations that I'll have with mentees from the Women's Guild or just other Women's Guild members in general. And actually, one of my fellow mentors from the Women's Guild, she herself says, I don't allow people to compliment my appearance or call me pet names in my chat. If they tell me anything like, you look pretty today, I'm immediately deleting the message and then I'm telling them, don't speak to me that way, because
Yeah.
I find it uncomfortable. I don't like it. I get uneasy, and I'm not going to allow it from anybody, because then others will think they can do it too. And I feel like it's something that it's excusable if you're newer to the community and you didn't know, because it's not necessarily something you would put in your rules unless you're super duper strict about it. So if it's not there and they do it anyway, I think it's understandable to say, hey, like, I actually don't allow that kind of talk in my chat. I just wanted to let you know, but all good. Just wanted
Yeah.
to give you a little heads up. Now if
Yeah.
they keep doing it and
Then
pushing buttons,
right.
then
And
actions of consequences.
Yeah.
but yeah, like 100%. And I think the other problem with on the platform, especially for that kind of stuff, is that just women in society are seen, women or femme presenting people in society are generally put up to this standard that they have to look a certain way, and
Mhm.
been conditioned by lots of different media to think that, hey, you need to glam up, even for something as simple as going out to the store. And that puts a lot of pressure,
Mhm.
especially when you're in the spotlight and when all eyes are on you playing a game. Like, I'll be honest, one of the worst times I see it is when I see women on the platform playing games like Sekiro or a Dark Souls game. The harassment they get can be unreal.
Mm.
And it is definitely something you're going to see more often on that side of the aisle, and it's terrible to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had pet names thrown at me at times, and it's just one of those things of the first time I encountered it, I was like, is this normal? And I was like, is this what people go through? And it kind of hits you, because it's like, this, they may not try, or they may not be trying to be malicious, but it puts you in this uneasy state that lingers with you, and that you're unable to shake, that you just say, should I say something about this, should I not? And it wasn't until I got a couple years in that I actually was like, hey, it makes me really uncomfortable. Like, I used to have people would come and be like, hey, sexy, and it's like, let's not do that. That's, I have, like,
No.
I don't want to hear that. The only person I want to hear that from is my girlfriend. And it's like that
Period.
makes me feel uncomfortable to have to deal with that. And sometimes you get people who are just like, "Oh, I feel bad. I think I'll leave." And I always tell them, "Stay, but do not continue the behavior."
Mhm.
It's like and this goes into a whole nother topic that I won't dive deep into. But whenever you make a mistake and a streamer points it out to you, do not look at that as a chance to flee. Look at that as a chance to own up and say, "I'm sorry. I didn't realize you'd feel that way. I didn't take into account your feelings, and I will make sure to never do that again in the future." Rather than
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, I think I'm going to leave now," because then it makes it feel like you're running away from responsibility or going along with the "it's just a joke" crowd. And that can honestly make the situation worse because
Mm-hmm.
then it just poisons the well essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can feel like a guilt trip of like,
Yes.
oh, I'm going to leave now. It's like, no, don't leave. They want that.
Yeah.
Rather than an honest apology. And then it's even less awkward that way because, oh, thanks for apologizing. Move on.
Yeah.
And you can have a whole other conversation now.
Because people build up respect for people, like people build up respect for people who take actions on the spot for things that they are wrong on.
Yeah.
And so if you can learn to own up to your mistakes, it's like, hey, in the moment you might feel guilty, but great, you've just learned something and now you can apply that elsewhere. And now look at that, you're slowly integrating the community, and the community is going to have respect for you because you treated the streamer with respect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is a perfect segue into our next question, which is, how do you deal with an individual in chat who doesn't necessarily break the rules but consistently pushes the boundaries? So, Mermaid, if you want to go first, and then Thor. Yeah.
9 times out of 10, this is my approach because it's usually people that have been around for a while. I don't usually deal with this with newer people because with new people, I just nip it in the bud. But some people, it's like, let me toe the line and see what I can do and can't do and like see what's okay. I'll usually ignore it when it first starts out. And my mods know like what I'm keen on and what I'm not. So if they see that I'm ignoring it, they ignore it too. They already know to just follow my lead when it comes to those things. Then if they keep doing it, or if they're like, "Hey, you're ignoring me," then I'll be like, "Well, yeah, I ignored you because XYZ," and then I'll bring it up and I'll call them out on it. Now you brought it up and you brought it to my attention again. So I was gonna just let it go, but it seems like you don't want to, so now I don't want to. And I feel like it's okay to just be like, I don't feel like dealing with that. And I think me ignoring them and that silence is more than enough of a message in response to their behavior. Sometimes you don't need to go and be naggy about everything that makes you uncomfortable or upsets you. If it's not super offensive and if no one else is acknowledging it in chat too, why break that cycle and the flow that's going if you can just ignore it? Now, if chat acknowledges it, well, then sometimes I'll even leave it to them and I'll just sit back and I'll enjoy the show myself because I think that that's great too. And I think I saw somebody talking about having trained moderators or something like that in chat.
Yeah.
And it's what I'm thinking about now. I feel like if you have mods who just know who you are as a person, your essence, even if they don't know you in real life, I think it can still be just as helpful. For example, one of my mods is my partner. Obviously, we live together, so he knows what will piss me off and what won't. One of my other mods I've had as a mod for over 2 years now, so she knows me really well as a streamer, and we've yet to meet in person. But there he is. Hi, Kristen. um, it's easy for her to pick up on things, especially because I try to do one-on-one hangouts with my mods every so often so they can get to know me as a person off stream as well. We play games together, we'll watch a movie, we'll watch a show, whatever it is. And I feel like that's a great way to make sure that they can advocate for you as well when there might be a moment that you're a little focused on something or you're just not feeling it, but you want to make sure that it's addressed. They can handle it for you. And sometimes even your own VIPs and regular community members, they know what you like and don't like, and they'll advocate for you too and say, hey, don't treat my streamer like that. And I think that that just demonstrates healthy community building, and it's a reflection of the streamer and the boundaries that they've set as a professional.
And just to piggyback off that, I mean, very much one of the things I resonated with you with was something that actually happened the other night where my chat handled something for me that came in. And I find that
Love it.
that's a very fun way of allowing things to kind of not affect your mood and realize that you have a community at your back. Because some
Mhm.
know I have a little bit of a quicker hammer than most in some cases for when I see stuff that might be agitating to me or stuff that could escalate. So I usually like to nip that in the bud as well. But there are times where people might, you know, backseat you, or they might come in and try and give you try and do stuff that they know isn't really acceptable in day to day life. And you just watch your community kind of take them apart. It allows you to focus on what you're doing, and then they can either disappear or they will realize very quickly that that is not the space to play in. I call it
Exactly.
playing in the street. If you play in the street, you're gonna get hit by the car, and the car is very much the chat. But the other thing I'll also say is like I very much went and I have a lot of mods. We actually have an entirely comprehensive document. In fact, actually, one of my mods, Alex, is in chat right now. We made an entire document that goes over so much of what's expected and the kind of behaviors that we like to see and not see. And when these behaviors are broken, the mods know how to respond accordingly. But when they really
Mhm.
get to towing that, is this allowed? Is this not allowed? Or somebody who's not breaking a rule in particular, I will honestly just go with what's on my mind. I'm like, hey, I know this isn't a rule, but I'm going to let you know this is making me uncomfortable. So I'm going to ask you to stop. And usually this will let me know by that person's reaction what they're going to do and how they're going to respond. I
I love
usually
that.
don't have this with too many long-term viewers, because most of them know my space and they know it's not a place where you should really mess around on the fringes of the rules. It's like I'm going to be fair with everyone until somebody gives me a reason not to. And in that case, they'll either be timed out, they'll be warned by a mod with Twitch's wonderful new system of being able to warn people privately from a mod. That is a fantastic system. And also just it allows me to say, hey, I am setting the boundary here. Don't cross this because you're getting close. And usually people will know to back off. So I just tell people if you're ever unsure if, somebody's broken a rule, it doesn't matter if they've broken a rule or not. If you feel uncomfortable, that's when you start needing to take action. That's when you need to lay down that line and let them know, I know this isn't a rule. I do
Period.
not want you doing this. Please follow this or we will have to kick you out. And
Mhm.
usually most people understand that, or they'll say something and then they'll get bopped. It's that simple.
Well, yep, show them that band hammer. Oh my goodness. It's true. It's true. Because even if it's not technically against the rules, the moment that you don't feel welcome in your own space, yeah, you can't let that fly. You can't let that fly.
Exactly. Nobody should ever be compromising your safety or your comfortability in your own stream. It's your house. You wouldn't just allow or people wouldn't just allow somebody into their house that's going to destroy the fine china. And yeah,
Okay.
that's it. It's that simple.
First thing I want to say is thank you to Tina for the raid. I really appreciate you so much. Welcome to our streamer strategy Twitch etiquette chat. You're the best. I appreciate you. The second thing I want to ask is for Thor and Mermaid. We are almost to the time where we will ask chat questions. However, we still have a couple of topics that I think we would really benefit hearing from you all on. Do you mind staying on the show a little bit longer, or do you have like a strict time
I'm
schedule?
here.
You have my entire rest of the night, whatever you need.
Beautiful. All right, let's keep it going. Okay. And whenever you feel like, yo, I need a break, or I need to go, just let me know, and we'll take it from there. But the next question that I want to ask you all is what actions can streamers take to help spread knowledge on Twitch etiquette? So I'll go with Mermaid first, and then Thor.
Okay. I may be a little bit biased about this, but for Mod Appreciation Day this year, I actually hosted a creator camp here on Twitch talking about moderation and how important it is. And we talked a little bit about personal boundaries and how that ties into moderation. And it's not just about ban, block, timeout, delete, all of that technical side of things. And I think that finding educational resources like Creator Camp or even just blogs created by Twitch can be a great first place to look because they're gathering that knowledge from creators and they're just putting it forward so that everyone can learn from it. So obviously you want to learn from the people that have that firsthand experience. And it's not like we're coming into this space knowing every single thing about Twitch. So we learn as we go, we learn from one another, we learn from our own personal experiences, and we learn from other communities that we're a part of, and we see the things we like, what we don't like, and we move forward with that. And I think that that's a great first approach. And I think another thing that I've found really useful that I've started to see more people using is moderation guidelines, whether it's mod rules for mods or a mod application where if you want more mods, you can set those expectations and say, this is what I would like from my team. So then you've already gauged what your expectations are, what you hope to gain from that, what the do's and don'ts are. And then the mod rules themselves kind of addresses what you would like to see in terms of how they behave with the community, how they interact with them, not being super over the top with modding as well. You don't want people to join your community that would kind of go on a power trip and be like, I have a sword now, so I can do all these things, and kind of take advantage of that extra power that they have. So I think that combined with educational resources like that, learning from your peers, and creating guidelines on how you would like your community to interact with you and what your expectations are, I think that would really help to just make sure that things flow as smoothly as possible. It's not going to be perfect every stream. And if something does happen, everyone knows how to respond accordingly and can back you up if you need that support and call people out when they're doing something that's not as favorable, and make sure that you feel comfortable in your home and they don't break the fine china.
So well
I see what you
said.
did there.
Yeah, I
Got
love that.
you.
I love that. Thor, what do you think?
So I 100% agree with everything that was just said. But also, like, to add on to that as well, I think one of the really big things you can do with, especially with spreading knowledge on Twitch, is having a talk with your community and having a talk within other communities where conversations like this are going on. Because when you talk about this, you are talking to a group of viewers who are also moderators and streamers who are going to go into other spaces and then transfer these ideas, whether knowingly or unknowingly, based on what they've assimilated in from being on the platform already. So I think one of the biggest things you can do is talk, have discourse, whether it's on Twitch or it's on Reddit or in other spaces. being able to talk about, your experiences as well will be a huge help. Like one of the things I really focus on is when we get into situations where somebody might come in and be like, what would you do in this situation? And when it's appropriate, I'll respond and be like, I've dealt with this before, and this is what we did to combat that. Even when it comes down to like writing out documents, we actually wrote out a document as well for my channel, and it's actually a pretty comprehensive document. It's a 33-page document, but it goes over, how to be a mod, what's expected as a mod. Some things need to be known really well, and other things are for reference points. But we also did it as a way to, set up for mods very much. Hey, this is a constraint. This is, how you're expected to act. Don't get a big head because you're a mod. You're representing X, Y, and Z. And if you abuse that, then people won't have respect for the streamer and they won't have respect for the space. So I always try and be very loud about, talk about this with your mods, with your community, because they will take that knowledge into other spaces and really help to spread it essentially by osmosis, or however you want to put that. But the other thing I'll also say as well is I think, searching for information, like maybe you want to do modding because you think it looks cool, go ahead and look at what your friends who are mods are doing, or ask people who are mods in channels and say, what are the responsibilities of being a mod? What should I know about this? What's the difference between being a mod for I don't even want to say it like that. What's the difference in being a mod for a community that is just starting out versus a community that's been around for a long time? There is a very big difference in the way those two things run. And you might not have the same abilities that you have on, say, with a channel where the chat is scrolling a mile per minute. There's going to be different things. So I tell people as well, the best way you can learn is by, especially on Twitch, is by going to the creator camps, because there's a bunch of really good resources and tools that have been recorded by people like Ash and many others on the platform to go over, like, how do you do brands, how do you do sponsorships, how do you do modding and streaming, and what are expectations. And there's a bunch of those created and put out by Twitch on the platform that can be very helpful to people. So if you're ever looking for it, look on YouTube, look on Twitch. There are places where that information is. And if you're not sure where it is, ask and see if other people know.
Yeah.
Honestly, at the end of the day, it just comes down to be willing to ask questions, because nobody else is going to ask them for you. And if you don't seek it, nobody's going to do it for you.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you for calling out Twitch Creator Camp too, because it is an underutilized resource that has a wealth of information by many creators, lots of people that have learned a lot from just being in the space on Twitch. So it is a very wonderful tool. I'm sure if you just Google like Twitch Creator Camp, or if you put it in the search bar on Twitch, it'll pop up. And I know that they recently just changed the name for the channel itself. I think it's like Twitch Creator Camp. Yeah.
Live. It's so long.
Yes.
Twitch
yes.
Creator Camp Live.
Yeah, they changed it. So
And the other thing too, can I add on one thing?
Yeah, of course.
If you go to your Twitch dashboard and you scroll down all the way on the left side, down to the settings, there's actually a Creator Camp link that will take you right to the Creator Camp section where you can go over all this information. It's right there in the dashboard, and there's so much to it.
Love it. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, amazing. Okay, so the next thing I want to ask you is, what happens if you fail to moderate improper Twitch etiquette properly? And what could the consequences be for those who may feel uncomfortable sharing how they were impacted? I'm going to go with Thor first on this one, then Mermaid. So let me know what you think, Thor.
So can I actually ask a question related to the question?
Of course, yeah.
Would this also be in regards to what happens if you fail to moderate improper Twitch etiquette properly through your mods or with the help of your mods? Because I think this can go back to the power tripping that we were talking about before.
Good question. I don't know. As I didn't think about that. Where do you think people will have the most lapse in information? Like, do you think through the mods?
I think when so basically I think when mods may make improper assessment of a situation, it can lead to a diminishing community or people who don't feel safe in the community. And that's more so where I was thinking of like what the
Okay,
consequences
so
are.
let's go with that one. Let's go with that one.
So I have actually had in the past mods that very much ended up going too far in their actions or the decisions. And when you fail to properly set guidelines, both for your mods or for the viewers in this case, um, people will leave your community. Not because of anything you've done, but because of what you failed to do. A lot of people will become uncomfortable and they don't want to have to speak up on that. They feel awkward pointing out I wouldn't say the corruptness, but the bad decision making and also the way that the space is being warped by those decisions. If you see, for instance, mods bullying certain people out or banning a lot of people for seemingly very, very um, minor, not even minor behavior, just regular behavior in the platform, just chatting with
Mhm.
no real perceptible reason of why they're being banned, people become afraid to simply be in the channel or speak up on things in general, and they're not going to speak up. A lot of the 90% of Twitch is lurkers. And
Mhm.
if they feel safe, all they have to do is click out and go to another tab. So when you fail to properly moderate your moderators or moderate your chat or the etiquette of chat, people are not going to speak up. They will leave, and it is important that you make sure that you are setting a space where the rules are defined. And if they become undefined because there's that bound or there's that blurred boundary, then let people know when that's being approached. And then this way, it's like, this was known. This is what the expectation was. You broke it. You're gone. But you need to be able to keep charge of that Twitch etiquette or people are just going to leave. And that's the bottom line there.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
100%.
Um,
Mhm.
the last thing I will say is let me see. I'm just rereading the question. Let's see. The, for those who are feeling affected, by the way, the other reason I bring this up is because if you do run into those people in other chats, and you will, Twitch is a very small place. Sometimes you will see people who used to be on your channel, and you might wonder and have the desire to ask them one day, what happened? Are you okay? Everything going all right? And they might tell you in a way that's like, I just felt uncomfortable on your channel. And that can bring up a lot of doubts, and that can kind of crush you a bit. So handle it in the moment. Don't let it creep up. Don't let it become a problem.
Mhm. Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Mermaid, what do you have anything to add?
Yeah. I feel like I want to touch on what Thor was saying a little bit, but before I do that, I want to mention a specific situation that I had in my stream about, say, like almost 3 years ago. Uh, I had a viewer who is now banned, been banned for a while. This person towed a lot of lines. And after I went on my 1 year hiatus, when I came back, I banned them. I was like, I'm coming back and I don't want this person in the community anymore because I feel like it hindered me at the time. This person was being a little hostile with one of my mods and calling them names. And my mod was like freaking out. So I addressed it in the moment and I was like, hey, just because you've been in the community for a while doesn't mean that you can just speak to people however you want. And especially my mods. And even if this person wasn't my mod, I still wouldn't tolerate that. But even more so because there's someone who helps keep the community safe and healthy and comfortable. I'm not going to tolerate that. And then afterwards, what I ended up doing was I messaged my mod separately to check in, like, hey, how are you feeling about this? I didn't even go into are you okay because I knew they were upset. So I wanted to get straight to the point. How are you feeling? What can I do to help? Uh, how do you want to move forward? And then I also messaged the community member and I expanded on what I said during the stream, because obviously I wasn't going to get on a soapbox and say everything I was feeling in that moment and interrupt the stream. But I didn't want to leave it just like that. And that approach caused for that community member to come back in the next stream and apologize to the mod. And that is exactly what I was hoping for. Did the behavior continue? A little bit, but it wasn't as severe as that time. So I feel like it set a precedent, and the community continued to interact as much as they were before that specific situation happened. So handling it in the moment is exactly what we needed. And that's why I wanted to add on to what Thor was saying, because this is a prime example of doing that. Saying, I'm not going to address this later because I'm streaming now, and just pretend it didn't happen. And you don't know who's watching in the background, and just being like, yeah, that's not cool. Like, that's it. Like for me specifically, that's not like her. I don't come to her streams because of behavior like that. I'm going to go head out now. And they might not come back ever.
Yeah.
You might not hear from them anymore, and they will never tell you why.
Yep.
And
Yep.
can I add one more thing onto this, going back to the
Yeah.
moderator section of things? Because for me, about a year and a half ago, I had a stream that ended up going off the rails due to moderator just not listening and completely going off the rails. And during the process of that, I ended up having a mod message me later on and like, you know what, I'm going to leave. And I had to make an inquiry at that point. I was like, why hasn't this been brought up in the past? And I also had to ask, is this about this? And at that point, I had to take immediate action to discuss it. And it turns out that this mod was, for a long time, had been making people uncomfortable, had been trying to remove other mods and bring other mods in, who I had no say over, or who they thought I had no say over. And it really created this huge rift to the point that I almost ended up removing two mods and or as a result. But it essentially created so much anxiety that I didn't realize how much anxiety I had around that, and how much that affected me. And this also goes back to the viewer thing, because if you don't address this stuff, you may not realize that you're dealing with anxiety, and it's affecting how you stream and how you're able to perform and entertain people. But
Exactly.
I ended up having to let this person go. And I want to let you all know, like, sometimes you're going to have to make these really difficult decisions where you might have people you think of as friends or people in the community that you really trust. And there you may have somebody who breaks your heart, and you have to let them go. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's always going to be easy, because a lot of time the people who are on the receiving end of that letting go, some will not see it out peacefully. Some will have or want to retaliate or be bitter and angry at you and leave some negative parting words. But it is your job as a content creator, as a broadcaster, to create a space that you are comfortable in. And if your mods or your viewers are making you uncomfortable, you need to handle it, because it will trickle down not only through your performance and your entertainment, but also through your community. And everything is one giant engine. And if one gear's out of place, the entire thing's not going to work.
Oh my
Absolutely. And that's the perfect way to address the situation that I was talking about, because that's how I was feeling. And not having to deal with that behavior anymore, it was such an eye opener for me when I first came back to streaming after not having that person around. And when I came back to coming live, I had unbanned requests turned on, and they reached out. And I took that opportunity to say, I gave you so many chances. That's done. Like, there no more chances at this point. I'm doing what's healthiest for my community, but especially for myself. Having you around caused me a lot of anxiety, and I was upfront about that. Never heard from them again, because I was finally comfortable to just share those feelings, rather than just being like, what you did wasn't okay, and specifically revolving it around that specific situation. But to turn things to a more positive side, something that my mods do that I absolutely love is if there's a situation where they're not 100% certain on how to handle a situation, they'll either DM me on Discord or go in the mod chat channel and tag me there and say, "Hey, this is happening. Do you want me to do something about it?" Um, just in case, since I might have ignored it and they're not sure if I'm exactly keen on responding or not, they'll message me and I'll immediately see it and we can address it there. And then I'll say, we'll have a more of a conversation about it later, just to kind of narrow down where those doubts came from to avoid it happening again. And I feel like having that open-ended communication with your team can bring a lot of comfort on both ends for the mods, because they're not sure about what to do and they don't want to toe any lines or do something that would make you uncomfortable. And then for you as a streamer, because maybe you don't want to do something about it in the moment, but you would appreciate it if someone else took that off your hands and did it for you, because you have 50 other things on your mind as a streamer at all times.
Yeah.
So
Like
having
making sure
someone
your
have
guests are
back-
not muted.
Yeah.
we actually have a very similar system for my community as well, where it's like if something happens, we have a live section, then we have mod chat, and then it's like if something goes on, like, do you want me to handle this? I'm like, you know what, go for it. And then
Mhm.
this way it's off my plate. And it's very helpful to have that kind of, I wouldn't, it's very
is.
helpful to have that kind of segue. So it's like you deal with it. I just want to focus on what I'm doing. And if you make a call, I'll stand by it.
Exactly. And it just brings you that comfort of like, oh, now I don't have to deal with it. I can continue doing what I was doing. I don't have to turn that flow into a different direction. I don't have to worry about it. And then we can talk about it later in case it comes up again, so we can handle it quicker if it
Mhm.
were to happen another time.
Exactly.
Yep. Yep. I love that. And I love that you mentioned having a moderator like only section in Discord. I definitely
Mhm.
have one of those myself, and it saves you a lot, because if you need assistance right away, you got that team, like, man, mod love, for real. Like, what would we be
For
without our
real.
mods? For real.
Mod
love
team
them.
assemble now.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
ad break. Boop.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Listening to y'all talk, it made me think about a few things that I kind of wanted to share too, that I didn't get to share early. One of them is if I go to a stream, like let's say I go to watch Thor, and then somebody in Thor's community that doesn't stream, or they're just like a regular viewer, they're like, "Oh, Ash, welcome in. I really liked your stream yesterday." That is like, to me, it makes me feel a little uncomfortable, like when people ask me about my stream in somebody else's stream while they're
It is
live.
icky.
Yeah.
Cause it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to answer and then feel like I'm self-promoting, but then at the same time, I also don't want to ignore the people and just be like, oh, I'm being rude to the person.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I understand what you're saying, Bamboozle, is them making conversation, but it's not appropriate at that time, because you don't know what the person's intent is, and
Mhm.
it's not
I'm-
something that you can read.
I honestly just, when it comes to stuff like that, cause I'll honestly just say a lot of the time is I'll kind of bypass it by just saying to somebody who's like, "Oh, how was the stream? I really enjoyed it." Or how was the rest of your stream? I'm like, "I'm just vibing and chilling today," because I don't want to have to go and break the rules unintentionally. And it also just, it lets them know, like, kind of offhand, that you're not ignoring them, but now is not the time, because
Yeah.
you're directly responding to them. But it's just a nice blanket statement of just like, I'm just chilling today, and I know I do that in your stream all the time. Just
Yeah.
like, okay. Like,
And then the other thing is, like, the streamer, since they're busy, like, playing the game and all that kind of stuff, they might not have the context of all the messages. So if I see
Mhm.
somebody say that to you in my stream, and I'm like, okay, like they're just making conversation, like you said. But if I miss that initial message, and then it's just like, oh, that person just walked in and just started talking about what they're streaming, it's like kind of like, well, that's a little weird, you know? That's a little strange. So it's just like I would say if there's one thing that I wanted viewers to know, like that would definitely be one thing that might make people feel uncomfortable that they're not gonna verbalize. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that was one thing, like listening to y'all talk about made me think about. And then the other thing was when people this it was something you said that made me think of this store is when people use bits or subscriptions as a means to kind of take the show floor, like, oh, I'm gonna donate bits and say something so that way all the attention is on me. And I think it came from when you were saying like somebody that's super supportive for a long time, but then maybe they like donate a lot of money and then use that as a way to be like, oh, well, that's my access to the streamer. You know what I mean? Like that could borderline on like parasocial a little bit.
I always look at that and I'm like, your support and your gratuity towards the stream does not entitle you to bypass the rules or behaviors or etiquette of the stream or the space. It doesn't give you any greater access. And it's really important, especially on a stream, that everybody know that the viewers are going to be treated equally, in my opinion. You are creating a space where everybody is watching and enjoying the space and that nobody is getting preferential treatment. And of course, you're going to have people who are there regularly who you know better and you have better interaction with. But that's not so much what I'm talking about when it comes to like fair behavior. It's like you wouldn't allow just anyone to come in and start creating an interruption to your stream. So why are you going to make a difference to the people who are just coming in throwing money around? Because then it almost seems like what you see in a movie where there's a bunch of people waiting outside and then a guy rolls up with $100 bill, slips it to the person. He's like, here, right in here. It feels really sleazy and people will think less of you for it, for letting certain people, not even certain people, for letting people bypass the rules because they have money. It comes off as classist, a little bit elitist, and it creates barriers that people are then unwilling to talk about because they don't know how to approach you about the people who are essentially bankrolling your stream. And they feel awkward pointing out that behavior because they feel it's not their place. It is really important to set that guideline of everyone in this stream is equal right now. I hold my mods to their behaviors and I hold my chat to their behaviors. And you having more money than somebody else doesn't entitle you to anything more.
I have, okay, I see chat is going on. I want to get y'all's feedback on this. The emote conversation. Do y'all want to touch on this?
Can I jump into this?
Yes,
Go
go
for it.
ahead.
I feel like we have the same thoughts.
Yeah, I see
Emotes
it being
are
talked about it. Let's do it.
Go on. Emotes are a creative thing for people to express themselves. Emotes are not self-promotion.
Yes.
I'll put it like this. Nobody's going to see an emote and be like, oh my God, this person is trying to tell that they stream. It's like, no, like it's ridiculous. I'm just going to break that barrier down right now. Emotes are a
Yeah.
way for people to say, oh man, I have something that fits this situation. This is really funny. Let me use this in the moment because maybe I don't have emotes to your channel and maybe I don't want to scroll through tons of Twitch's emote codes. It's a way for people to just have fun. Don't see it as self-promotion because it's not. Like nobody is thinking
Yeah.
in 5D chess terms. I promise.
Exactly. Especially if either one, you made them yourself for your own stream. Two, you might have made them for another streamer because you're a commissioner artist and you like looking at your work, which who wouldn't? Or three, you paid for them. You paid someone to make them for you. Use what you paid for. I mean, it's one thing to just like spam the chat with just your emotes. And it's another thing, like, don't do that. But
Yeah.
if you have an emote of a cat and everyone in chat is talking about cats, then put the cat emote in the chat. People are gonna like it. It's like, oh, that's a cute emote. Like I have one, I'll put it right now, of my cat giving me a kiss. It's so cute.
And
Okay, you can
that's
always
not gonna
spam
go
that
and,
in
like,
my chat.
Spam it like every time I come to Ash's stream, all the time. Like
Yeah.
there's a time and a place. again, like I feel like we come back to that common theme with this whole etiquette conversation overall. But yeah, I feel like if I'm loving all the cat emotes in chat, by the way. If you
Yeah,
all
me
follow
too.
instructions to a T, 10 out of 10. But I feel like it's just a great way to express yourself.
Yeah.
And
That's it.
and lastly, like it comes down to the
my
fact
God,
of
the
like if
drawing.
somebody is abusing or spamming in your chat, then warn them. That is your prerogative as the streamer. And also, you can set rules. Like I tell people, don't spam a billion and one of the same emote, especially if I'm not understanding the context, and especially if I'm trying to focus on something, it might be slightly distracting.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm just like Mermaid said, like Ash said, you paid money for it. You want to be able to use these things, and nobody's thinking in 5D chess terms. We just want to
Yeah.
have fun and show off cool, crazy art and see what people are capable of on the platform. And that's what Twitch is all about, is
Yeah.
showcasing your own creativity. And that is
Exactly.
expression through emotes.
Yeah.
And there might be a minority of people who are like, oh, that's self-promotion. Well, then don't do it in their chat. But I promise you, 9 out of 10 streamers don't care. They're probably not even looking at whose emote it is.
Yeah.
Or they'll look at it and be like, oh, that's a cute emote, or that's a cool emote. Whose is it? And then they'll go look, and honestly, I might subscribe because I just want that emote.
Yeah.
And it's not coming from a place of, this is my emote. I hope that they look at it and go subscribe to my channel so they can have it.
Yeah.
I
No.
paid for a twerking, goofy emote. I'm going to use that emote.
Yeah. I think
I would use it too.
yeah. I think the biggest thing, Bamboozle, I'm gonna just say, because you were like bringing it up in the chat, but I think the most important thing, and to Sigur's point as well, is context, right? Like if you are a first time chatter in somebody's stream and all you do is spam emotes and don't say anything, don't engage with the broadcaster, that might come off as odd. You know what I mean? They might not necessarily think you're trying to self-promote or whatever, but it's going to come off as like, what do you do? Like, I don't understand what you're trying to say to me. And I don't necessarily think that using other people's emotes or your own emotes is self-promotion. And I know that this is a conversation on social media all the time that runs the rounds, like literally every 3 months. But I think, yeah. But I think that it comes up because there's always an influx of new streamers all the time, and they hear somebody talk about it and then they ask about it, and then it becomes why is this making the rounds again? Because it's like such low hanging fruit. But I think that, if you're just talking and the emote fits in your whatever you're saying, it enhances and heightens what you're saying. Yeah, no one's gonna think about that. But if you're constantly spamming the chat and being like obnoxious and not adding to the value of the conversation between yourself and the other chatters, or yourself and the streamer, and you're trying to make it about you, then yeah, people are gonna say like you're trying to take the stage and promote yourself. So it's all about context and how you're, reading the room, which is what we've been talking about this whole day, So, yeah.
Yep.
The fact that we said the same thing in chat with like the difference of one word.
Yeah. Yeah.
The panel brain cell is brain celling.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask the last question, and then we're going to go into chat questions. And the last question is, what are some tools you use for moderation? So I'm going to go with Mermaid first, and then Thor.
Yeah, so it depends on what I'm doing. So for me in particular, I have a lot of smart lights in my room. So I use Lumia Stream for that, and it also serves as a bot that I can use for moderation things in general. But overall, I feel like when it comes to specific moderation, I'll use my Streamlabs bot for example, links in chat. It helps with blocking specific links, and I have it set that if you clip something and you add the link to the clip in my chat, that will go through. But if you're not a mod and you put like google.com in my chat, it will delete it, and then Streamlabs will yell at you. So that's like a perfect example of how I'll use different tools for different things. And then I'd say number one on my list is Seribot, because I feel like when you're in a marginalized community or more than one, you are targeted more for bot raids and bot follows and things like that. And I had it happen to me about 2 months ago, and Seribot came in and handled everything for me. And all I had to do was just keep streaming. And it just saved me from having to worry about going back later and seeing if there were any remnants of the bot raid or anything like that. And I was able to continue broadcasting like nothing was happening. And it was great.
Seribot is definitely a real one. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
I love Siri.
I'll
He's
say
the goat.
this. Like in the past, there has been this bot that people have used called Commander Root, and I actually tell people, unless you know what you're doing, don't go poking around there unless you have
Yeah.
somebody with you, because you'll delete all your followers. I tell people, just get Seribot, just
Yeah.
set it up, and it will delete all the bots for you, and that's all you have to do. I've seen many people with 6,000 followers wipe all of them out by a simple misclick. If you
Yep.
ever get follow botted or anything like that, just let it fall off or report it to Twitch, and they'll usually handle it for you. But
Yep.
also take preemptive measures through Seribot. But also for like the moderation tools I use, I actually use quite a few because I have a lot of different things that I like to do on my channel. My channel is very, very involved. But the main one is Firebot. And Firebot is, for those of you that may not know what StreamerBot is, it's pretty much a this is going to sound like a slight, and I guess it kind of is. It's a much better UI'd streamer bot.
Honestly, I love StreamerBot, but yeah, that UI needs some work.
Yeah, I started using it recently and I'm still learning it.
Andy, Lippy, Nutty, if either of you could work on that UI, that'd be great. But Firebot allows me to pretty much set up things like when somebody is banned on my chat. We have a little guy come up and play a piano and does Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, except it's your band. And we also use it to automate shout outs. I actually have a timer system so that if we get a raid, it will shout out the person through Twitch's or through a shout out command that's !SO shout out. But then 2 minutes after that, it will actually shout out the person directly through Twitch's native shout out tool.
Love
And
that.
if a raid comes in, though, it will actually delay the shout out and create a queue if there's multiple. So I use a lot of that stuff to ease tension on my mods, make sure that if it's late at night and I'm streaming, that I don't have to ask people to do it and I don't have to stop what I'm doing, because I usually play a lot of games like Sekiro or Dark Souls, so on and so forth, where I can't stop what I'm doing in the moment. But
Mhm.
I'll also go ahead and use those Firebot as well, just to really make it so that I can just keep an eye on all chats, all the viewers who are in my chat, and be able to easily reach out to people if I need to. The other one I also use, it used to be known as Leorenboard, but they've since transitioned to Sammy, which I use to assist in that shout out tool. And the last one, honestly, is Twitch's native system. Twitch, Ash, I'm sure you can speak with me on this one. Twitch had some Twitch didn't have the best moderation tools a couple years ago, and they've since implemented amazing features such as shield mode. They've
Mhm.
implemented pretty much a way to block stuff from happening. Like if you get hate rated, which I have a lot of experience with, um, then you can turn off everything. The ability of people to chat, the ability of people to come in to raid, all at the click of a button. Even if you have a stream deck or something, you can just press that and it allows you to activate this protective barrier mode essentially. But
Mhm.
also Twitch's other tools such as, needing a verified phone number, needing a verified email account, yes, it's going to prevent some people from being able to talk on the channel. But ultimately, I've had way fewer events using Twitch's built-in moderation tools due to how many they've added over even the past year,
Yeah,
honestly. And
agreed.
so I'd highly recommend, if you don't want to get into bot stuff and you maybe are a little bit timid about it, use Twitch's first. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things there that will protect you right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worth taking a look on the Twitch blog about.
Yes. I love the new. Well, I feel like since all of those hate raid problems were a big problem like a couple of years ago, they really heard the feedback of we need enhanced tools. So like,
Mm.
the ban evasion tool, the shared ban user list, shield mode, phone and email verification, and recently for banned viewers to not be able to watch our stream at all. Like those
That
are
was huge.
that
That
was
was my
huge.
favorite.
Yeah. So
Like,
That
as
there
made
somebody
me
that's dealt
so
with
happy.
stalking on Twitch, that was huge for me.
right.
Just
Yeah.
I think that was the number one reason why I came back to streaming.
Yeah.
I heard about that and I was like, oh, I actually would feel a lot more comfortable
Right.
going live again because of that. So who knows how many other people were in that same kind of situation or were streaming less because of something like that. And that little change made such a large impact that people came back to the platform or were coming back more consistently because they felt safer.
Yeah.
mhm.
That's
Yeah.
why online safety is so important.
Right. And one thing that I really want to impress on chat is if you see reportable behavior, when you write your report, like give as much detail as possible, timestamps if possible,
Links.
copying, pasting links, like even offline, behavior, like if they're targeting somebody like on Twitter or whatever, all of those things matter and
Mm-hmm.
help the case. So, yeah, those things really help because a human being is looking at every single report. So,
Yeah.
make sure to do that when you're doing that, and we appreciate your help if ever there's a need for that kind of help. But
A-
yeah,
And one, can I add one last thing
yeah,
onto
of
that?
course, yeah,
The other thing that I have done, this goes back to moderation as well. I actually use Excel quite a lot for moderation because it allows me to chart out when we're having waves of like bad activity and being able to go report stuff later on. I can kind of input it all into a list or have my mods do it. And we created a system that goes over like, this is the reason why this person was banned. Here's the message. Here's the username. Here's the time. And so that way, if I can't handle it right then and there, I can at least just copy and paste that information in and worry about it later. And I'd say if you need to do a lot of stuff with streaming information, Google Docs or Google Sheets rather is a great way to keep track of all that, and it's free. And it allows you to just input any type of information you need, especially if you know Excel. But even if you don't have to worry about it.
I
yeah,
love that.
yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. Okay, so we have now reached well, we're over time. So I do have one question. Actually, the question that I did write that I saw in chat was how do you read the room? But I think we kind of covered that a little bit earlier. If anybody has any questions they want to drop into chat right now, but while anybody's dropping anything in the chat, is there anything that we didn't cover that y'all want to talk about or share before we, raid out and say our goodbyes?
Yeah, someone had asked what spoon theory is. So I wanted to like
Yeah.
elaborate on it a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, of course.
So the way that I like to put it with a visualization, because I feel like that makes it easier, you have a stack of spoons in your hand, like literal spoons. And each task that you have to do during your day costs a certain amount of spoons. That can depend based on things that you don't mind doing and they take less of your energy, or there are things that might take a little bit more. So, for example, I don't mind doing dishes, but I hate doing laundry. So, for me, doing dishes might cost 2 spoons, but doing laundry might cost me 7. And I only have 10. So I have to think about what I want to do in terms of my time and my energy, because then I'll only have 1 spoon left. What am I going to be able to do after that? Am I going to have energy to do anything else? So when I mentioned it earlier, saying not having the spoons, you might have had a day where you had so much going on before you start streaming, and you only have the energy to stream and hang out with your chat.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the energy to address conflict. You don't have the means to just have arguments with new people in your chat. You just want to enjoy the company of the people that you enjoy talking to and spending your time with and playing games with. So those are the days that you might be like, you know what? I'm just gonna ban this person. I don't have the spoons today. I don't want to deal with this discussion. And then later, maybe if they do an unban request and you feel keen on talking it out, you can. If not, whatever. And sometimes you might have more spoons. And if you're willing to use them, then by all means. So that's what I meant in terms of streaming and spoon theory. But I feel like this can tie into everyday life in general, especially as a neurodivergent person. I
Yeah.
think that it's really important to use your spoons wisely.
Yeah. I love that.
Second.
I love that. Thor, anything you want to share?
Honestly, I think most of the questions were answered by the
Mhm.
thing. I guess the last thing I'd say is, the big thing about being a streamer is if you don't want to deal with something in your space, you do not have to. Like,
Mhm.
take the initiative to stop it before it becomes an issue. Because small issues can turn into giant mountains real quick, and it's
Mhm.
just sometimes it's just well, all the time you need to handle it, or it will get out of or will get out of your arms. I can't
Yeah.
think of words right now. ADHD.
Nah, I get it. I get it. I get it. Chat.
English is hard.
Yeah. Chat is a reflection of the values that you stand by and allow to permeate in your chat, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you allow a behavior, it will, blow up 10 times fold if you allow chat to, run amok. And whatever you say, it like there are times when I don't even have to say something and chat already is doing it. Like, so for example, one great thing that I love is when I start my stream, right? And I first go on camera, there are people greeting each other. And I always say, thank you for greeting and acknowledging each other. So that way we reinforce the behaviors that we want to continue. And it's super important. It's super important. Yo, thank you, Rod and Poppy. Thank you for the raid. Welcome in. We're doing a streamer strategy broadcast on Twitch Etiquette. So thank you for bringing your community on over. We're taking
the
any
good eggs are rolling
yeah,
in.
the good eggs are rolling in. We're taking questions right now. If anybody has any questions about Twitch Etiquette, Poppy is an amazing broadcaster. Thank you so much for choosing our channel to raid. But yeah, like that's one thing that's extremely important to me is to cultivate the behaviors that you stand by and to discard the behaviors that don't, align with the things that you believe in. So that's one piece of advice that I would give to anybody who wants to broadcast.
I think that's good advice.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, unfortunately, though, that is the end of our show. Thank you so much for coming in, everybody. Thank you for the raid, Rotten Poppy. Please, I would love it if, Mayhem Mermaid and Thormangander, you can tell everybody where to find you. Thor, I'm going to ask for you to go first. Then, Mayhem Mermaid, please let them know where to find you, what kind of content you do, what kind of exciting thing you got coming up next. Let them know.
Well-
Thor, go first.
Well, everybody, you can find me over on my channel at twitch.tv/ThormanGander. And also, not only that, you can find us playing games with steering wheels, Donkey Kong bongos, DDR pads, and many things. Oh, I even just got challenged to do a Tomatone Undertale, but I think I'm going to do Elden Ring instead on a Tomatone. But we'll be live on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this upcoming week. And I'll also be on GCX charity marathon streams on Sunday playing Hades 2 on a steering wheel. So you want to catch some craziness? You want to catch a no backseat gaming zone? We got you. It's going to be fun, and we'd love to have you there for talks about mental health awareness, LGBTQI plus equality, neurodiversity, and honestly anything else that goes into this squirrel on a rocket ship vibe of a brain. We'd love to see you.
I love you so much, Thor. I can't compete with that.
Yes, she can. She's lying to you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ash, for having me. It was an absolute honor. I gotta say, like, the guilds have introduced me to some incredible people. So I'm really grateful to be able to participate in spaces like this. But if you'd like to learn a little bit more about me, you can find me at twitch.tv/the Mayhem Mermaid. I am a variety and co-working streamer. So if I'm live in the evening, I'm usually gaming. If you see me go live during the day, that's usually when I'm co-working since I work from home. So it allows me to create content while still being productive and getting things done. I am also a part of the mental health task force with the United Nations. So you will see me talking a lot about mental health and the importance of it, specifically within gaming. So if you want to talk about mental health, I'm always down to chat about it. Even if I'm playing a game, I will make time for it. I'm very chatty. So come hang out with me Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
Chatty squad.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I also want to shout out the Tea Monster who was here earlier. Tea Monster is doing some super cool ghost hunting stuff right now. And wrote the book Twitch for Dummies, right? Twitch for Dummies. And is a really amazing person that I have met many times in real life before. So please make sure to go and give the Tea Monster a follow. And Old Man Sethis, who was supposed to join us today but was feeling under the weather, please make sure to go and join them as well. Sethis is a really, really wonderful and amazing human being who I've also gotten to meet in person and is just, really awesome. So we're gonna find a nice person to raid. We're gonna take Poppy's group and our group and go and make somebody's day.
Yay!
So let's find a nice person to raid, Let's find a nice person to raid. If you all want, you could go and I'll do this on the solo screen. Once again, thank you so much for being on my show. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you dealing with the the technical difficulties earlier today, but your knowledge and insight was extremely valuable and impactful. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing your space for this really important conversation and for having us. It was
This was
fun.
very informative, and I really loved being here, so thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll see y'all later. Bye.
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 All right, everybody. So let's find a nice person to raid. Thank you so much, Poppy. Everyone, please also make sure to go and give Rotten Poppy a follow. I love Rotten Poppy. Very wonderful broadcaster who also does very cool retro stuff. Thank you, Twapo. Thanks, Chico Kath, and especially for all your help. Kinality, I hope I said your name right. Finn, thanks for being here. Bamboozled, thank you for the questions. Tamara, thank you. Quiet Assassin, Roasted Donut. Kiana, I'm so sorry. Thank you. Kiana, thank you. G Star, thank you. Serial Sensei, Thor, of course. PS Witch. Let's find a nice person to read, chat. Thank you. Oh my gosh, Hardly Worgan. Listen, okay, y'all already know what we were talking about. Thank you, Mayhem Mermaid. Thank you so much. It was so valuable. Okay, so I am going to send you off Let's go support some retro streaming, right? Let me see if this person is still live right now. So there is a person doing send us off. Yeah, send us off, Sigger. There's a person doing a really wonderful event that is a okay, so Goaty underscore is doing the best of Nintendo Don't. Finn is gonna be on it this weekend. I'm gonna be on it. Angry Old Man Gaming Official is gonna be on it. And basically, the spirit of Best of Nintendo is to showcase games that are usually overlooked or not as popular as like the typical game. And Goaty put this all together and is really, really, really incredible, and got a lot of the retro community together to celebrate really cool video games. So I want to take y'all there, and let's go and tell them hello. Let's go tell them hello. Let me put the raid message in the chat. Hold on, where is it? Ash, where's the raid message? Here we go. Okay, there's the raid message. Yeah, it was so Kiana, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for coming in. Let's go raid Goaty underscore. Let's go support them. And especially because this is like a community event that was community driven and community organized. Can I say bye now? Very funny. Nuke for Prez. Thanks for being here. Clebe is here too. Thank you, Clebe. Let's go raid Goaty underscore. The person who's live on their channel right now is Mystical Machine Gun, who is playing a Bratz game, which I actually remember this game. I'm pretty sure I played it before. It's really cute. Yeah, Best of Nintendo. It's a really amazing weekend. So go and support some retro streamers out there. Yeah, this Bratz game is awesome. Barracourts, thank you. And thank you, chat, for your questions. Thank you for giving us your side and your thoughts and feelings. And thanks for listening. We can only elevate this space by sharing information and helping others be better broadcasters. So that's the intent of this show. So, yeah, thank you for being a part of the conversation. I'll see you all over in Goaty's channel. Okay, bye, y'all. Bye.
Yeah, so we collect coins.